All right. So thank you for joining me for our Monday evening spotlight session. Um, I am Cindy Brockway. I am a self expansion coach and I am the curator of this group, Essentials for Peace and Balance, the Facebook community, and also the YouTube channel. So I just want to welcome you to this space where we focus on simple, practical ways to stay steady and to move forward with intention. Not just going with the flow, but really learn how to move forward with intention. So I want to ask you something. I want to ask you a simple question. Have you ever made a clear final decision? That's it. No more second guessing. I'm not going to go back on what I said. That's it. And you knew what you were going to say. You knew what you wanted to focus on. You decided what you were going to say no to. That's a big one. And you felt settled about the situation, and you know that that is what's best under the circumstances. And then a couple days later, a couple weeks later, you get in the situation and you start rethinking that decision. You start kind of reopening the options that you had already closed and that were your final decision. You start saying yes when you really intended to say no. Or maybe you just quietly dropped the priority that you had chosen just to soothe things over. Not because you changed your mind, but because something shifted and you felt like you couldn't stick with your decision. And I'm here to tell you that this shows up really specifically for high capacity people. Need a little drink here. High capacity people often agree to something even though their calendar is full. You push your priorities, your needs to kind of later on because something else feels more important or more urgent, whether it's personal time, whether it's your finances. Maybe you start second guessing a boundary after somebody reacts to it. They get a little panicky, they get a little sometimes belligerent. I mean, let's be honest. And you start wondering if your decision was too much. I can't follow through with it. Or maybe I need to keep doing what I was doing. Maybe it's selfish to want to do something else. And before you know it, you're back in the same pattern that you were trying to shift in the beginning. Not because you lack discipline or because you don't have what it takes, not because you weren't 100% clear on what needed to be done, but because the environment, your emotions, they catch up with you and your decision. And that is where most people lose their resolve. You know, that pull between showing up for everyone else or being the person you've always been, or that certain someone that you've helped in the past and they just can't seem to get it together and they rely on you to bail them out. Or maybe it's a certain role that you've taken on for such a long time. And you feel like, well, I've done it for a long time. I know what I'm doing. But if you were to stay true to yourself, you would say that it's time for a change. It's time to stick to my guns. And to be honest, the problem isn't your decision. The problem is it has nothing to do with your day. The problem is there's nothing to help you stay connected with your decision. So, what does that look like? Decisions don't hold themselves. You've probably figured that out. Tough decisions need reinforcement, not pressure, not willpower, reinforcement. Just small moments where you come back to your why. This is what I chose, and this is why. And they're usually backed, your decisions are usually backed with very strong reasons. So let's simplify it a little bit. Instead of trying to stay strong all day long, build in some checkpoints that support your follow through. And I'm going to share with you 3 ways right now that you can use immediately to help you stick to your guns. So maybe it's a morning check in. When you first get up, before everything starts going, before you look at your text messages or your emails from this certain person or this certain responsibility that you're trying to sort through, and you just ask yourself, what decision am I committed to today? Now, you've made this decision over and over and over again. And then when a new day comes, a new situation comes, you can't stick to it. You lose your resolve. You might have more than one decision like that. But for right now, let's think about the most pressing decision that you need to make. Not a whole list, just one. Just one specific decision that you do not want to drift from. And in the morning, start out first thing and remind yourself why you have made that decision. And then in the middle of the day, when things start getting busy, hectic, or maybe you get in that conversation with the person who wants you to kind of give in and do what they want, or you're in a place where, you know what, I'm just going to do it because I've done it before and I can do it quicker than trying to teach somebody else how to do it, whatever it might be. That task maybe that you've taken on that wasn't even yours to take on, but you've inherited it due to past decisions and things. Maybe you were trying to help somebody out and they've started taking you for granted. And now they expect you to do it long term, no matter what. And you only did it as a favor. Does that sound familiar? I bet it does. And if so, raise your hand. You know, we high capacity people, we're really good at helping other people and putting ourselves out there when we see a need. But for our own sanity and maybe our own financial stability, our own understanding of what might be best for the other people involved, we've made a decision not to step in all the time. We can't maintain it without feeling overwhelmed and frustrated and sometimes even angry or disillusioned. So we need to pause and ask ourselves, where did I start bending on that decision? Not going to judge yourself. You're not going to criticize yourself or the other person or the situation. Just notice what's going on. Think about it. What is causing you to go back on what you've decided in your heart is the best course of action? And then when something comes up that wants to push you back to the other way, I want you to ask yourself, if someone makes a request again, or you get distracted by other things going on, and you think, well, maybe I shouldn't stick to that now that this is happening, or maybe something else comes up. There's a lot of reasons why we people with high capacity and high energy and you know we're there for everybody. There's a lot of reasons, there's a lot of excuses, there are a lot of things that come up that can interfere with our resolve to make a shift in our own personal way of responding to things. So ask yourself, okay, in this new situation, this new whatever, this new excuse that I've come up with, does this support the decision that I've already made? And you know what? Often that one question is going to stop a lot of that automatic responses. Yep, I'm going to have to just go back on what I said and just give in. It's going to soothe things over. But if it is not supporting the decision that you've already made, then I want you to rethink it. I want you to hold on to that resolve and take a moment and think about this. What decision did I make recently that I've already started losing my grip on? And what's one small way that I can reconnect to it today? One small way. So, this is the kind of thing that we practice in the Clarity Challenge. We have one coming up in May. I believe it is May 19th. It's on a Tuesday. We don't talk just about making decisions, but we learn how to stick with them without constantly second guessing ourselves. And we learn why, what it is that causes us to second guess what's going on. And that's where things actually start to change. When you can figure out that undercurrent keeps pulling you under, we're going to help you with that in the clarity challenge. And I'm just here to let you know what? You don't need a full plan. You just need a simple way to stay connected with a decision you've already made. One decision, whatever that might be. And I know you might have a lot on your heart, but right now we're talking about just one specific decision. And I want you to think about it. If you had a simple way to stay connected with that decision you've already made, how would that feel? Start there. And you're welcome to join us for the clarity challenge that we have coming up. And if you are more into the one-on-one talking, together, if that's more your style, then I'm going to drop the link below for you to schedule a clarity and expansion call with me. 30 minutes, and we just talk about what's coming up for you, and we explore what the next step might be. That's it, plain and simple. So if that sounds good, I'd love for you to check out the link for our upcoming Clarity Challenge, or maybe even schedule a one-on-one call with me. So thank you for listening, and I hope that your resolve does not fade by the end of the week. Bye-bye.